Tracy Morgan returned to the stage with a few laughs last night to celebrate the 67th annual Prime Time Emmy Awards. It was a historic night full of comedy and emotion for the best and the brightest in television.
Kevin Frazier is the co-host of Entertainment Tonight and was there for all of the night's excitement.
Viola Davis.
They have been handing out Emmys since 1949, but Viola Davis is the first African-American woman to win lead actress in a drama.
The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity.
You know, somehow it's like they always say that the purpose of life is a life of purpose. And I just remember I grew up in such abject poverty. And for God to have brought me to this moment is kind of miraculous. It's as miraculous as a tree growing from a seed.
But when Viola tried to share the miracle with her 5-year-old daughter, Genesis...
She's not picking up. She probably already fell asleep.
Yeah, but it's okay.
You say how I handle all this success, this is it. People are just not impressed by me.
Another emotional moment was with Uzo Aduba, who picked up her second straight Emmy as Crazy Eyes in Orange is the New Black.
I really just want to say thank you to my family.
She's the daughter of Nigerian parents and once told me she was thinking of quitting the business.
That made that a powerful moment.
It's, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel every single time, because it's not like the path behind me is so far gone that I can't remember it. You know, it's like I can feel it right here.
Jeffrey Tambor, who picked up his first Emmy ever as the transgender Maura Hefferman in Transparent, had people reaching for their hankies with his speech.
I'd like to dedicate my performance and this award to the transgender community.
My little daughter came to the set, and I said, "How do you feel?" And she goes, "Oh, I understand, Daddy. Your character is more happy being a woman." So she got it immediately.
Wow.
I apparently brought my blotting thing up with me as well. Okay, I mean that.
Allison Janney's speech got off to a rocky start after picking up her 7th Emmy, but she had a big finish.
To my team, Leslie, Karen, Peter, Chris, Alana, Mom and Dad, and Phil. I decided sometimes lists get so boring, and I thought maybe I'll just sing it at, you know, no idea what key I was singing in or what song, but I just thought it would be more interesting to listen to if I sang it.
Jon Hamm.
The place went crazy when Jon Hamm won lead actor in a drama after previously losing 7 times for Mad Men.
I think I turned around and that's when I stopped remembering what I was doing because I was pretty terrified. It's been a long, long journey, and it's really nice to be here and a good way to say goodbye.
And Kevin Frazier joins us now from the ET set. Kevin, what a night. There were so many memorable moments. Did you have a favorite?
You know what? There were lots of moments. Mine were really backstage. Watching Jeffrey Tambor go through his messages as he took a moment in the media center, sitting by himself. And I asked him about it, and he said, I just feel like I'm getting all these love bombs, all these texts from people, and it's amazing. Viola and her husband, Julius, in the back area. And Julius said he was so amazed by Viola because she could have just gone up and said thank you to everyone, but instead, she put the moment into context. And that was really big for her. And then talking to Uzo Aduba's mom, and she called me over and she said, you know, I love the interview you did with my daughter. And then she just talked about how proud she was of her daughter and how amazing her life is.
You know, Kevin, I think this morning everyone's talking about Viola, but there were other big winners too. Give us a sense of who some of the other big winners were.
Well, I mean, first of all, the big winners were diversity, and you look at, when I say diversity, Game of Thrones winning, because usually sci-fi shows don't win at the Emmys, but because the voting was opened up to the entire membership of the Academy this year, that made a difference. So Game of Thrones and HBO, 43 wins in all, but also it's a great time to be an actor. Actors won because all the shows with actors were celebrated. Netflix, Amazon, they also did well. And then, I can't say enough about Regina King winning. She came back with her son Ian, and having watched Ian grow up, he turned and he said, my mom is my hero, and she's someone I've looked up to all my life. I love that moment. And then, by the way, Regina, at the end of the interview, turned around and looked at him and said, we're going to have a good time tonight, but you're getting back on your plane and going back to college.
What about, let me ask you about this, Tracy Morgan, because that was a moment, certainly, that took a lot of people by surprise. What was that moment like?
It took everyone by surprise. And you know what? Usually the jaded media is making a bunch of noise backstage, and you could have heard a pin drop. A hush fell over the auditorium and even backstage, and everybody's mouth hit the floor because no one expected Tracy to be there. Peter Dinklage told me he was so happy to see him and that he just couldn't move watching Tracy walk out on that stage. And that was kind of the sentiment everywhere in the Microsoft Center and also backstage.
Yeah, it was great to see him. He seemed so strong. I mean, after that accident, you didn't know what would become of Tracy Morgan, and you can see he's really on the road to recovery. How about the host, Andy Samberg? How did he do?
I thought Andy, he started out okay. He had a little lull there, but he finished strong. Listen, it's a tough, tough job. And so it's hard to knock anyone when you say, how did they do? Because really, what you're doing is you're just getting people out there to present awards, basically. So it's you start fast, and then you just hang on, and you have a few jokes in the middle. While I don't think he was the greatest Emmy host ever, I mean, it's a tough, tough gig.
Yeah. What about this LA heat wave? Because we could see that for a lot of folks, they were not holding up so well necessarily. Tell us about that. How did you handle that?
Okay, the temperature was in the high 90s. I changed my shirt as soon as I hit backstage, but there were a couple of moments that I won't forget. Eric Stonestreet was by far, from a Modern Family, by far the smartest person on the carpet. He had a bag of ice tucked into his tuxedo in the back, and he also had in his pockets ice packs. He gave me one that I actually held on my head. And then Jamie Lee Curtis, while we were talking, she slipped and just said, you know, it's so hot, I didn't even wear a bra or panties. I was like, Jamie Lee, it's magic. But it really was. It was crazy. It was tough on the men because we wore these big tuxes.
Yeah, it seemed like the #1 accessory was a fan. A lot of people had those sort of electric personal fans.
It was just hot and steamy because it's sort of an enclosed area, and you have all these people, and then once you get people up on your stage, it was interesting. But Eric Stonestreet, I'm with you. Next year at the Emmys, I will have a bag of ice on my back. No question about it.
Love it. Kevin Frazier from ET, thank you so much.
Ladies, thanks for having me.